There's like really no game news whatsoever.
I know, right? After Gamescom, it's like I feel like this is just bullshit. So we can just talk off the dome, see what happens, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Welcome to the next episode of VGXL. I'm your host, Daniel, aka Games. Joining me again today is just AutoCAD, and El Torrente is out and about with my phone ringing. Still struggling with work over there, so he'll be back hopefully in the next couple of weeks, but it may just be us for the foreseeable future. But what's going on, everybody? How you doing, AutoCAD? How was your week?
Chilling, bro. I'm doing all right. My week was pretty snazzy. Just came back from my little mini vacay down in Georgia where I was visiting family, and now I'm back just in time for a rainstorm.
Oh right, yeah, it is. The weather's freaking horrible, man.
Yeah, it's pretty shit.
I hate waking up on a rainy day and I have to go to work, and it's just like, man, why can't this be a slow day where I just can sleep in and not worry about rain?
Yeah,
you know,
I'm wondering like how long before like rainy days like this are considered like snow days. They're just like, nah, you're not coming in. Look how hard it's raining. No way.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but soon it'll just be, with all this remote stuff, you'll just have to work anyway. You'll be like, oh, well, then again, our jobs don't, I have to go out no matter what. And
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it doesn't matter. Anyway, so
yeah, I'm home, so it doesn't matter.
Moving along. But yeah, this Gamescom was like extra fun last week. We were just talking about it before we went live that it feels like not that much crazy game news since then has come out. So it's like, we're kind of at a loss. Like, what happened this week? Did video games happen this week?
I mean, me playing them has happened this week. So
that's true.
There was that. I've been playing a bunch of Psychonauts 2 and the new update for No Man's Sky. 12 minutes I got into a little bit.
Look at you playing video games. Huh.
Look at me go. And I even reinstalled the Ascent, which I'd uninstalled in anger. But I reinstalled it just because I heard there was an update for it, so I wanted to see what kind of like improvements they did. It's a little smoother.
Oh, that's cool. It's funny that you brought that up because I was listening to another podcast. Yeah, I know I do that sometimes. And it was Danny Pena's GTR podcast, and they were Paris Lily was on there. It was an older episode, but they were talking about the Ascent, and he brought up that point because he's been he's becoming an Xbox spokesperson. He's done 2 shows with them for 2 different events. Yeah, okay. So he's making a name for himself over there, and which is awesome. Like he's doing pretty damn good. And he brought up that whole point of like, he's like, as much as I love Xbox and all that, he's like, their app has to be fixed. He's like, the fact that the Ascent was not updated to the Steam version makes me just say, like, I tell friends, don't go with Game Pass. If you like a game, go buy it off Steam. And I was like, wow, like the guy who's been like literally flown out to freaking Washington to record stuff with Microsoft is saying that's a problem. You know what I mean? I like that he was able to criticize their shitty app, because it's true. It's like, if I buy a game, if I'm paying for this subscription service, I'm playing a game that's day and date coming out, that I should be playing on yours. Why am I not getting the definitive edition of that? Why am I lagging behind the paid version? That's a little bit corny to me, and it really brings down the quality of your service. So it's like, that's something Microsoft really does need to fix.
Absolutely. And I hope he didn't take food out of his own mouth by saying it, and he doesn't get any more flights. But
right.
But it's true, because I'm already thinking, like, for Starfield, when that comes out, I'm not trying to deal with a shitty Game Pass version if, this isn't rectified, this isn't fixed. Now here, I think I mentioned before that Windows 11 is supposed to be the fix. That when that comes out, it's going to be pretty much integrated in the Windows experience, and so you'll get those updates much easier. The reason why it's happening now is because it's like kind of separate, and so they're not putting too much time into it because they are kind of focused on Windows 11.
But like, how long are people gonna it's gonna be a while that the average person gets Windows 11, because people are gonna just be on that.
And a lot of people just can't. A lot of people just won't be able to because they don't have the hardware. The hardware requirements are pretty high. Well, they're not pretty high, to be fair, but high for some people, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to lower them, or they don't want to, and so that's fine. But they really should then update the app so that people who are on older systems can still enjoy it.
Right, that's true, and I that scares me because that feels like a Windows Vista thing happened. Because I remember when Vista came out, and you needed like a freaking powerhouse PC to run that at a decent pace, and even then it had its problems. So Yeah, so hopefully
Yeah,
Windows
we
11
shall see.
doesn't keep running the curse of every other version being shitty. Because Windows 8 was crap. Windows 10 was okay. Has been decent for me at least. And then now let's see what happens with Windows 11. But
I hope so, because even No Man's Sky, I had to update that manually today because I knew the update was out, and I kept like closing the Xbox app, opening it up, but wouldn't trigger it. I had to go to the Microsoft Store separate, then just search the game because it wasn't even in my installed list of apps. So I have to search the game. Then after I search it, I stare at it for about 5 seconds, and then it registered. Oh, you want to update this? I was like, yeah, I do.
that's pretty trash.
And then in the Xbox app, it also it shows that it's updating there now, like because the Windows Store.
Right? Yeah, I noticed that. That's
so it was. Yeah, it's a very shitty experience, and if you don't know how that works, you'll just be sitting there waiting for the update for whenever the Xbox app decides to push it.
That's so corny, man. That's like, because it's like, you're right. Like if I'm again a regular person who's just like, oh, this is an awesome service, I want to, and you don't know, and you hear about this update and you don't know about that, you're just sitting here wondering why the hell your shit doesn't work. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Microsoft really, this is what I mean. Like you said it last time. It's like they give with one hand and take with the other. So it's like, yeah, they have this great service, but then it's shit.
Yeah, exactly. But then it barely works.
It's just like, come on.
Exactly.
Like I really can't stand Microsoft as a software company. They are trash, and that's the thing. That's their bread and butter software, and you would think that their software would be like the best, and it's not. Anyway,
it's just it's so compatible. I think that's how it survived, because it just, you know what I mean, you can plug pretty much everything into it.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
But yeah, their first party products are never that great. It's everybody else who uses their or goes around their product that's like, all right, well, we'll fix Windows to make our stuff work.
Exactly.
Oh man. But yeah, speaking of No Man's Sky, I tried a little bit of the update. I saw that, if you're not aware, they released a Frontiers update, and with that now you get you're getting settlements, that look like something out of Star Wars, like Mos Eisley or something like that. Apparently, did you bump into any settlements when you played?
I haven't yet, because I want to wait a little while. I'm trying to get my nip farm going.
Oh yeah, that's
right. But I was tempted to go through like a black hole and go to like a brand new system, because I knew they'd probably start popping up. But already I think like my moon looks a lot different, like the atmosphere, like just graphically they updated a few things, so that looks cool. The night sky looks like different now. So it's cool. It's smoother. It definitely runs at a higher FPS than it was before.
I feel like, that's what I felt today too. I was like, wow, this feels really good. Like it didn't feel janky like I've seen other times. Like it felt really smooth to run.
Even for me playing just a week ago, it's smooth.
Oh yeah? Oh wow.
Yeah. So whatever they did, they definitely optimized a lot. And it runs pretty well. Even the loading just from leaving the planet to space, sometimes there's like a little gap, and that was shortened a decent amount. I was like, oh, that was a lot smoother.
Yeah, because when I went, I agree. Yeah, when I went to space, it was real smooth, and coming back, I landed, and it didn't feel like I had to do the whole animation. I don't know, it was really nice. Like they definitely smoothed over some stuff there for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. So hats off to them. Good job.
Yeah, it is funny. I was playing, and there's some like little platypus weird concoction, because everything shows up, and I had some pellets, so I feed it, and it starts dancing, and I'm like, oh cool, and I pet it, and then this thing was like, had to be like in game, like the equivalent of like 4 feet tall. I freaking jumped on its back, and it's like walking on its hind legs with me, like shaking on its back. I was like, oh, that's hilarious. This game is awesome.
That's hilarious. I thought you were gonna say you took a shit or something.
Oh no, that's funny that they do that. Yeah, that you can use that as like what, like fertilizer or some shit.
Pretty much, yeah. I use that for my nip buds.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
But if you haven't tried No Man's Sky in a while, definitely now is the time. Well, it's been the time, because all the updates have been awesome. They guide you from when you start a new game. The guidance is way better than it used to be. When you need to build something or complete something, you can post it right on your screen, and a lot of it is guided now, so that you have the freedom to not look at anything. Or if you're somebody who needs a little more hand-holding like myself, then you have that option as well, where it'll tell you like what's the next place, what to do, and things like that. And then those expedition seasons are really awesome too. That's how I finally got to do one of those derelict ships for the first time, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, those are awesome. So they have those. You can buy those now. They're pretty expensive, but for like $5 million, you get like the coordinates for one, and then you can go and just explore like another like derelict like frigate out in space. And that's how you upgrade your because you get a fleet. So that's how you upgrade your fleet. You have to get these frigate data modules, and you use that to upgrade your fleet and shit.
We gotta start. We gotta.
It's pretty fucking deep.
We gotta do a game together. Like start like a continuous game together. Because I definitely want to get more. I haven't seen half of the stuff they've updated.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah. So I'm like, I want to start seeing more and more of that stuff. Because No Man's Sky is definitely an interesting game. And if you ever get the chance to try it in VR, it's actually pretty cool. Like flying, they literally
that'd be pretty sweet.
Rebuilt for like the view for VR when you're in your ship is very specific to VR. Like I was like, you can see yourself in there. Your dashboard is way bigger. You can, when you put the controller, you can see yourself grabbing onto the controls or whatever. So it really feels like you're controlling it. Like you actually have to move, like physically move your arms like you're controlling a ship to fly it.
That's cool.
It's insane. And you can do like, you can swing your arms to walk if you want. And I started doing it. It's so weird. And if you're someone who gets motion sickness, you can teleport everywhere and point and click and teleport, so you don't barf all over the place. But it's pretty cool. I haven't tried it in a while since like I tried it only like one time, but I have to try it again because it isn't the most ideal way to play, even though it is really cool to play like that. It's just it's a lot to constantly like having to turn your whole body and move, and you're mining, but it is cool to mine just standing there and actually like doing the movements. But
because you have the VR set, you should really fucking download Star Citizen, because they have basically you can turn your webcam or whatever you have, and they have head tracking. So I'm just imagining with the head tracking with the VR, that's probably really immersive.
I have to try. Awesome. Yeah, you're right. That sounds awesome. I definitely have to get to Star Citizen. I just haven't taken the time.
No, I hear you. It's just a really, really pretty No Man's Sky. Nowhere near as like, I guess, huge because it's not procedural.
Right.
But I don't know. It's one of the only games that I've just been blown away by just because the scale of it is bananas. But anyways.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I know. I keep hearing so many good things about it. I definitely got to get into that game.
Yeah, it's a good time. It's fun.
What else? Oh, you told me before you finally played 12 minutes.
Oh yeah. I got to it. It was all right. I give it like a, I don't know, solid 7 out of 10. It's just not my style of game, so it was well done for what it was. But since it's not my style, I take like a point away.
I feel, I mean, I would give it like around the same thing because I feel like there could have been a little bit more to it. Like the endings were kind of like, I thought the twist was interesting. What did you think about the twist without spoiling anything?
It was good. Like it was interesting. You know what I mean? Like it was all serviceable. You know what I mean? Like it was enjoyable in that regard. I just think getting to it was a little bit like
it is tedious. I spent hours. Yeah. I don't know. I couldn't believe how addicted I got to trying the different paths or whatever. Because I said, wait, what if I do this? And
stuck,
I got stuck on it, and I couldn't believe it. Like 2 days straight, just obsessed over like trying different paths. And when I wasn't playing, I'm like, yo, I didn't try, doing this and then going that and then trying that, and it was crazy. And then I let my son play a little bit.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
And he found things that I hadn't even thought about. He's like, "Oh, did you try turning on the lights, like turning on the light switch and then letting her go in?"
Oh, right, yeah.
he found ways to mess with the wife that I did not think about. But
that's funny.
Just like if you've read anything, if you follow like some of the bigger blogs, they were shitting on the game because they were saying it's because it's a little bit triggering, and I understand that for some people it can be triggering to see such brutal things happen. It can be brutal. It can be a little bit dark, and they give you the freedom to do things that to be a little dark with it. And I feel like, come on, like Mortal Kombat didn't have to have fatalities, but it did, and it's like ripping someone's freaking head out of their freaking body. It's not. Is a somewhat realistic in the sense that someone's head is attached to a spine. So watching Sub-Zero do his move is like, come on, like they could have not done that. We've been seeing this since we were like 8 and 10 years old. It's like we've been seeing violence. The 90s was all about violence and how edgy you could be, and now it's like you can stab someone in a game, and it's like, oh my gosh, this game is doing it for no reason. It's just like, let's all calm down. It's not hurting anybody. It's all this pearl clutching is ridiculous. I don't know. I'm one that, yes, I did shield my children from certain things, but after a while, by a certain age, my son's 12, I'm like, I'm not gonna stop him from playing a bloody game because I did it when I was a kid. And yes, so while things are somewhat more realistic, a little bit of blood, a little bit of craziness isn't gonna make him some kind of mass murderer. The only thing I would say that I will really stick to is like more sexual content than anything else. But the way people act like oh my gosh, you can do these bad things, like like you can, like there's a I don't really even want to spoil the game if anybody hasn't played it, but there's things you can do to the wife that are not that serious. There's some that are really are, but some that are like part of the story that are not that is like, yes, if you did this in real life as a joke, it would be really, really bad. But right now
yeah, there's a lot of things that if you did from a video game, in real life, it'd be like, nah, that's not good.
Exactly. So it's just like, but if you really put into perspective, it's like it really isn't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? Even in the game, and it's just like, come on. And the fact that you have all these sites, like not all these, but there's a couple of sites out there that are really crying. I'm just gonna say, like Kotaku crying about it, and they made it a commentary while the game was out, completely spoiling the story of the game for their quote unquote commentary. It's like, come on, like it's a review. You guys aren't happy about it, and you're just looking for a reason to shit on it. I'm like, they're just becoming such a shitty website. I don't even know why I go to it anymore. I just go to, I guess it's like when I'm showing my age here, but it's almost like when Howard Stern blew up. It's like you had the people who listened because they loved him, and you had the people who listened because they absolutely hated him. And I feel like that's the cycle I'm on right now. Like, I only look at Kotaku because of how much I'm hating them.
Because
I want to see like what stupid shit did they say today? Because I know they said some stupid shit. And I mean, now that we're on it, I mean, might as well just jump into. I had this on the list of things I want to talk about. Is the fact that now they wrote about fucking they didn't get there was a what's the name of the game?
Which one?
The Ubisoft game that's coming out that we're tired of hearing about.
Oh, Far Cry 6.
Far Cry 6. There was a Far Cry 6 event that happened, and there were certain outlets that didn't get invited, and they were one of them. And they wrote a whole article crying about that they didn't get invited, and then they used the whole like social justice warrior things to prove their point, how a Spanish outlet didn't get invited, which again, that I get it, that sucks, but they got like they used that to like pretty much crap on Ubisoft for not getting their invite as well. But the Spanish outlet was from another country. They were only inviting US outlets to the event, and that doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. You're just mad that you didn't get invited because nobody likes you because you're a shit publication now. All you guys do is clickbait garbage. Like it's sad. I've been reading Kotaku since 2009 because I went for a job at a secondhand cell phone video game store, a secondhand electronics store, right? And it was nothing but young guys, and they said part of the requirement was reading websites like Kotaku at the time. And I was like, Kotaku, what is that? And I looked it up, and I fell in love. I loved reading about, they had all kinds of different things. It was a nerd website. And the last few, ever since they sold, Hulk Hogan took them down, took down Gawker Media, and they became this shell of what they used to be. It's like, they really just have gone downhill. And it wasn't that bad for at first, but ever since Schreier left and some of the other bigger names left, and they had
all the old heads left.
Yeah, once they did that walkout,
yeah,
and the mass quitting or whatever, and they had brought in all these liberal loving writers. It's like that was it. It turned into a shit show of crybabies and complaining, and like there's nothing good anymore. And that goes all the way back to when we were talking about Cyberpunk. How instead of reviewing the gameplay and what bugs were in it, what did they talk about? How inclusivity, it wasn't inclusive enough. And it's just like, no game is inclusive.
Yeah,
they just, but because they mentioned they were going to be inclusive, now that's all you're going to write about is how it wasn't good enough for you. I'm like,
bronies. We need bronies in there. We need fucking clown fetishists in there. We need all of them. They didn't represent everybody. It's not fair.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get it. It's like, I again, and I said this in the past, like being of Puerto Rican descent, all of us on the show of Puerto Rican descent, I love to see, some representation, something that represents where my family has come from. And that's awesome when I see, like in Spider-Man, it was awesome to see it. But I'm not going to cry because they used a Colombian or Cuban woman instead of a Puerto Rican to voice the character. I'm like, because that's, that could be offensive.
So what? That's
but it's like, I don't really care. I'm not gonna cry about it. It was the game was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not gonna cry because the woman's accent was wrong, which it was. But it's like,
Right.
again, I really don't care. I'm not gonna shit on the game. I love the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just like, who cares?
And it's the same thing with movies. It's like, this is, you get that it's make believe, right, y'all? You get like this ain't real, Spider-Man, not real.
Exactly.
I hate to break it to you. Skyrim, Ulfric, not a real dude. My bad. So at some point it's like, all right, yeah, they couldn't nail it. Maybe the Puerto Rican actresses who showed up to that audition, they just weren't that strong for whatever reason. Maybe the ones who got the call and were dope just didn't make it because they were busy getting even bigger roles. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many variables.
Exactly.
So it's just so easy to jump to like the social justice shit, and that's across the board for all these publications. What I feel like happened is all these kids got out of college with their new writing degrees and like, woohoo, we're going to write about social things. We're going to save the fucking world because it's not fair. And my parents never spanked me. They just would wag their finger maybe, and then we'd make a pot about it or something. Made a teacup out of pottery or something. and then what happened is all these old dudes saw these kids coming, and instead of sitting around and knocking them in the head like the old dudes did to them and got them straight, they just said, fuck that, we're out of here. And they left because they weren't allowed to knock sense into these dudes like they used to be. Because that used to happen. You'd get there and they'd say, get the fuck out of here. You get all the shit stories. Get the fuck out of my face. These new dudes came in and I feel like they were just like, yeah, go nuts. It's all about you. Social justice and you know everything, right? So do you. And the old guys pretty much are just like, all right, I'm out. And that was it. And now that's what we're stuck with. And that's why these newspapers and things like this, they sell nothing. Because nobody cares what these fucktards have to say. It's annoying.
Exactly. It's frustrating. It's like you don't get unbiased, just straight to the point about the video game. It's like everything that's wrong about how it socially doesn't represent this and that. And it's just like, yes, I appreciate those things as a minority, as a person of color, as somebody who's seen, firsthand experience with struggles of where I come from. It's like, I don't want this stuff thrown in people's faces and why it's bad, because you know what that does? All that is doing is making people upset and more aggressive towards that. So now it's like, shouldn't we, like, instead of creating a more understanding world, now it's just like this, there's not enough of this and people are being alienated, and you're just I feel like you're hurting people more than anything. So crying about all the, it's like the way someone expressed themselves in a video game, it's like, it's just like, just leave it alone. It's not hurting anybody. It's not gonna do anything. And it's just like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But talk about the game first. Talk about whether or not you like the game. Yeah, it's repetitive and it can be tedious to find the route that you want to go. And there's so many other things wrong with the game. But because you can harm your wife in various different ways, is not somehow make it a bad game or something that's like wrong with the devs or they're trying to be edgy for no reason. I think that's the beauty of video games, being able to do things that you cannot in real life, where you can go and try, you're in a time loop and you can try all these different things in this time loop, and it didn't really stop you from a lot of what you wanted to do in the game, which I think made it that much more interesting to play. Like, I have a knife, I can do things with this knife, you know what I mean? And it lets you do things with the knife, and it's like, that's really awesome. So
exactly. I think the focus should have been on the mechanic, the time loop mechanic that allowed you to do that. Without that mechanic, you wouldn't have been able to do that, right? Exactly. So it's not like they just threw it in there and like, all right, this wasn't like the Post Office or Postal Part 3, where you're just like, yeah, go nuts and fucking murder everybody just cause.
Right.
Like, this had a narrative. It had a point.
Right. Or like GTA, we were freaking killing prostitutes, having sex with the prostitute in a bouncing car. Then when they would leave, going and killing them and getting our money back. And that's what everyone does in those games, because it's fake and it's just funny because it's like, fun. Wow, I can't do this in real life, but it's funny that.
And you wouldn't want to do it in real life, because in real life you understand that it's wrong. You don't want to hurt somebody, even if they're a prostitute in real life. That, so it's not just, I want to do in real life, but I'm doing the game instead. It's a game, so you let yourself go to places that you would never go in real life, no matter what. If you can, the people who like can't separate that scare me more than the people who play those games.
Exactly.
Like, they worry me. Like, hold on, you really this pushes you to that place? Okay,
right? Like, you really can't separate, and it's like, It's just ridiculous, and it's like, I'm sorry to like go off on this. It's just like we're a couple of older guys here. Just like, yo, we dealt with this in the 90s a little bit, where video game violence was like this whole thing, and it's just all it is the media getting in your head. It's the news needing a story and sensationalizing fear, and it's just like, come on, let's keep it real. You understand that this is fake. You understand that it's not real. No one's really gonna go like, even when all the school shootings were happening, nobody, and they blame a video game, everybody rolls their eyes like, come on, we all know the video game didn't do anything. So it's like, why are we worried about a game that lets you do certain things to, that lets you do something a little realistic in there? It's just like, we've already established a million times, it's been studied that doesn't cause violence, doesn't do anything. So why are you crying about this, writing a whole book and a blog that's supposed to be about fun and video games? Now you're making this political statement about why that's wrong, and it's just like, come on, let's do better. Let's do better. But I'll probably be there looking at all the dumb shit they say tomorrow. So.
I was gonna say they've got their business model. They know what their numbers look like, and maybe they see that, as petty and terrible as it is, when they post sensationalist bullshit articles like that, it gets them the clicks. That's like the sports thing is like Knicks for clicks. It's well known. You write an article about the Knicks, it doesn't matter. The more sensational and crazy, the better, because it doesn't matter. If you put the word Knicks in there, you're going to get clicks. People want to know what the Knicks are doing. So all the hate that we get in the NBA and all that, the Knicks suck, blah, 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 ain't the Mecca, yada, yada. It's like, guess what? Every sports writer on the planet knows if you put the word Knicks in the headline, you're going to get those visits. So that's it's just hilarious. Like, it might be the same type of shit where they're like, you know what? If we can like trigger people and say something super stupid, we're gonna get a lot of traffic today.
Right, exactly. Like, yo, just do it. Just do it. What do you think about? Oh, that's pretty dumb. Go ahead, publish it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I like that. Yeah. Do it.
Oh man, it's sad out here.
It is.
But really, but yeah. So what else we got here? Oh yeah, so. Recently, I don't know if you haven't heard, I stream on Twitch, obviously, and there's been a lot going on with something called hate raids. So hate raids are pretty much where it's not even an actual raid, because a raid is when you type in a command as the streamer and you take your whole chat to another person's stream. So that's called a raid. So now what's happening is that it's not necessarily coming from a channel. It's just a bunch of bots going to typically someone of color, goes into there and starts typing like things like the N-word and other stupid things or whatever, and it'll be 100 people, and that's been happening for a few weeks now. And
so it's just like 100 bots that come
like saying like the N-word or whatever, and it's it's like, and then it's in different like stylized or whatever, like fonts, so it's hard to block or pre-block. So there's ways, streamers have figured out a way to clear it and get rid of it and blah, blah, blah. But, they want Twitch to have things in place to take care of this. And
why is that even possible?
I don't know, because nerds, bro. Nerds are out there. It's a challenge. True. It's always a challenge, So it's like, they know that there's ways to block it, so the nerds have found ways to get around it, and it just becomes a challenge of breaking that and making bothering people, and they're getting a rise out of the streamer, and it's all over Twitter, and they're getting all these rises, and today's September 1st, everyone went on a boycott or whatever for Twitch.
Of Twitch?
And, yeah, so they're not streaming on Twitch. Even Pfeffer kind of took part in it, but she's still streaming. She went to Trovo just to try it out. Yeah, just to try it out. I know. She wants to do YouTube, but it's a 24-hour.
I'm going to YouTube, baby. I'm going to YouTube.
I was thinking the same thing, not for nothing. I might do the switch now, like while it's hot to do it now, because YouTube.
I was gonna say I might do like with a simulcast or whatever, just because there's no benefit. Like Twitch is, I'm not using anything that they provide. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, why exactly am I even just using Twitch? But
exactly.
Anyways,
like I'm affiliated, but it's like I don't care. I don't have a huge following that I'm gonna lose if I go to YouTube, and the podcast is posted there. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do some couple of things. But so a bunch of people stopped, which I find a little bit ironic, because they're saying it's because of the racial. These are the marginalized people that are getting attacked, which is true. But all the marginalized people left for a day. So it's just like, what I'm saying? It's like it's
open.
What sucks is that what gets me upset about that whole situation is that first of all, you're giving it attention. There's people have already
That's what I was
figured out how
gonna
to
say.
clear it out and get rid of it. So once that happens, that's it. You clear it out, give it a couple of minutes, it goes away because it's just bots, not actual people, and you take it out. And after that, you're good to go. And I know it sucks that it even happens. Like, don't get me wrong, but expecting Twitch to do something about it in a week or two, it's only been happening for 2 weeks. You know, the hashtag went out, Twitch do better, and it's just like it's just been everyone's just mad at them for not, I guess, giving a better PR statement about the whole situation. I'm like, it's like a video game. It's like you can't expect the game to come out in a year or in 6 months and because you don't like something or like the way No Man's Sky or even No Man's Sky, but I meant to say Cyberpunk. Like, yes, you it sucks that it was pushed back or and then when it came out, it was gonna take, it's taking so long because it takes time to fix video games. You know, software in general, to program, to test it, to do all that. And everyone's getting so mad, and it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. But with that being said, because of like the weird shit, this is not the first time Twitch has been under fire. So now we're seeing big streamers actually leave the platform, and so like Tim the Tatman announced he's going to YouTube. And
he just wants to follow Doc, but good for him,
right? Doc's been there, and
he just wants to follow Doc, but I get it.
And the first comment on I don't know if it was the first, but the first comment that pops up for me when you go to Tim the Tatman's thing is the Doc saying Timmy.
That's great. It's so funny how many streamers have built their whole fucking career off of Doc basically either roasting them at some point during their rise or being a partner of his at some point.
Yeah,
but it's crazy. A lot of people are connected to him. Anyways,
yeah. And then it's funny because they all mentioned it today, which I guess that was their way of maybe some solidarity, maybe. But a lot of these streamers never even mentioned the whole day off Twitch, but they all use September 1st as the day to leave. Dr. Lupo as well is left, so that's some pretty big names leaving the platform. And it's kind of reminds me of Mixer, you know, when the Mixer exodus happened, it's happening all over again. And I don't know, it's like a part of me, it's like, I get it, Twitch can do some things better, but I feel like people just don't understand what it takes to run a company, to develop software, you know, and have to manage PR, because anything they say, you're gonna cry about it. And it takes us back to like what we were saying about before. Like, you can't be mad about every little thing, you know, and crying about every little thing. And now it's like, as a streamer in 2019, before they pretty much have stopped trolls. Like, it's hard to troll because if you keep doing it, I think you get like permanently banned, or you get an IP banned or whatever, which is only good until your until your service ISP changes it, because it does change your public IP. Just eventually will change. But it has stopped a lot of trolls. I rarely get trolls. We used to get trolls like almost every other stream, and now that's stopped. But you know what's funny is that a lot of
get banned for 2 weeks at a time,
right? And then the thing is that a lot of those trolls, as long as you didn't give them a reaction that they were expecting, they always left. Always left, or they'd go harder. You know what I mean? They try to get that little rise out of you, and it wouldn't be until they said some real weird dark shit. You know what I mean? That then I was like, all right.
Yeah,
I don't want that in my chat. You gotta go. But if they said, they used to make fun of the way I look, or like, oh, you look at your hairline, look at this, and obviously it's like young guys. I'm just like, oh, you're right, this shit is crazy, you know. And I would just agree with them, because I'm like, your little words aren't gonna affect me. I'm an entertainer over here. I expect to be virtually heckled, and it's not gonna fucking bother me. And they never got the rise out of us that they wanted. I would just laugh and say, come on, keep going. You got better jokes than that. Like I said, unless they say some real dark, really hyper offensive shit. If you're just making fun of me, go ahead, have at it, because I'm a grown fucking man. So if I got hate rated, and people got mad at this other streamer, it was a black dude, and he got hate rated. He started like, he's like, look, I got hate rated. It's the exact same response I would have. You don't let the terrorists win. After 2011, they said,
we don't negotiate with terrorists.
Exactly. You don't let them win by giving them a response. When you cry, when you stop your stream, when you take time off, when you go on Twitter to oh my god, I got hate rated again. It's like you letting the trolls win. And most of the time, all they want is that rise out of you. All they want is for you to go to Twitter and do exactly that. And when you give them that satisfaction you letting these motherfuckers win. And that's why I'm like, it's like like that's the only reason why I'd want to leave Twitch, because of the crybabies on there. It's like it's making me want to leave Twitch just as much.
Yeah, it's some people are just born to, like that saying, like some people just want to see the world burn.
Right.
Like, that's just true. Some people just really do. I remember a little bit about my history, not too much, but I remember I was just in a situation where I had to interact with another young kid, and he was about my age. But in the position I was in, I was definitely, I was in a much higher spot than he was, right? So I was doing something for him, as a nice thing to do for the kid. And so I asked him, I'm just like, well, he gave me his name, and I'm like, all right, how do you spell that? And immediately he was, oh, you don't know how to spell that? It was immediate attack. The first little thing of weakness he saw, he wanted to jump onto, right? And I was just like, all right. And so I just, I did my thing. But again, that was at 10 years of age. So already at 10 years old, I knew, like, you could tell, like, that's just a kid who's going to grow up to be an asshole. It doesn't matter. Like, he just enjoys triggering people. He wants to get the reaction. He wants that response. And again, he was like 10. So it's just like, you can't freak out, you can't give into it. You can't take it personal, because it really has nothing to do with you in those situations at all. It is really that person on the other side of the screen. They got some issues they're working through.
It's true.
You're the conduit at that moment. But
I'm seeing people crying here. I'm like, I feel for them, and I understand not everybody can have the attitude that I have or that you have. Like, those things roll off of me, because you know what?
Nah, it sucked at the time. I didn't take it well. Let me not say that either. I was like, hey, what the fuck?
Wait, how old were you?
I was the same age.
Oh,
so
okay,
I was a young kid too.
Yeah,
so I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I'm doing you a favor. What the fuck? Whatever.
Yeah, no, you're right. Exactly.
I was like,
you were 10. You know what I mean? Like, now as like a grown man who's in a situation, yes, words hurt. Words can hurt. And if somebody says something to my face or in the street or makes a comment when I was trying to do something better, yes, those words can hurt. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to cry about it. It's like either do better or just say, like, just let that shit roll off and keep it moving. And if
especially internet words are so weak.
Like, exactly. Like words on the screen. It's like, that's why I laughed it off. And I've never dwelled on it. Of all the years, like this, what they said, I look like DJ Academics. And every time I hear that name, that shit cracks me up, because these trolls, like, they be trying to say shit. I'm just like, and they don't get banned.
So accurate, it's like, but that's funny.
Yeah, it is. I was like, I don't look like, come on. But it was hilarious though. It's just when I looked at him, I was like, wait, what does he look like? That shit had me rolling, because it's like they're just trying to get a rise out of you. And I'm telling you, there was a night where I put literally in my title, interviewing trolls, and so many of them came in. To try to say, oh, look at this guy trying to roast me. And I was on a roll, just roasting them back and laughing at the shit they say. I'm like, come on, you guys, you got something better. You got something. And they would just run out of things. Eventually they go quiet. And I'm like, I'm like, where'd they go? And you know how many I've gotten follows. I've made friends. Yeah, it's like, why are you letting these people get a rise out of you? You cannot let the bullies win. And that's the shit that people don't say enough. And the people who do try to say, like, stop letting them win, stop getting, they get shitted on or semi-canceled because of it. I'm seeing like whole threads on Twitter of people getting completely shitted on because they're just like, why are you crying about this? Like, stop letting them make, oh, you don't understand. Because of course, if you're not a person of color or a black person, you're not allowed to say any of these things, and which, it sucks, but it's just like, but then you wonder why either people don't rather not say nothing, or they become bitter, because it's like, even if I want to help, if I have a differing opinion, it's like, I'm taking a risk, so it's just like, and I've seen that they're like, oh, I see people being quiet about this whole hate rate stuff, and we don't think I don't notice. Fuck you. And I'm just like, whoa, like, you're cursing me out, someone who, because I rather not put my brand on the line for that. So it's just like, well, yes, I'm not condoning it. I think it sucks, and if it's really hurting your stuff, that does suck. And Twitch will hopefully do something. But I'm more of a realist, where I understand that's gonna take time. It's going to take testing, and it's going to take feedback and probably pushback, because then when they implement something that restricts everyone, then what? You know what I mean? It's like, it's going to be I feel like it's going to end up being a blanketed solution. And it may be worse, than the actual problem, which will eventually die out once people stop crying about it. So it's like,
I'm still kind of shocked that people are just reacting to the way they are. Like even nowadays, like the N-word is triggering people. Like really,
yeah,
bro.
it is.
Call of Duty lobbies, Halo lobbies. Like I've been called terrible things in those lobbies.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I could hear the kid's voice in my ear right there telling me how bad he's gonna fuck my mom, you know?
Yeah, no,
And
it's true, and it still
I
happens.
still love that game. Still play the shit out of it. Said the same thing back to them, and then went right on about my day.
And
So
you know
it's
what,
like,
and you know what's crazy is that when it did happen, like, oh, what are you, a bunch of N-words, and they'll be like, are you getting upset? And, you know, that's it. There's not. They may not even be racist. Like, you know what I mean by that is, in
just a
real
bunch of
life,
assholes.
they probably don't have anything against a person of color, but because it gets such a rise out of people, because it's getting people canceled, because people are getting so upset, they just want to fuck with you at that point. Now it's just like, oh, that bothers you? Well, I'm gonna say it again. Let it keep bothering you. And that's what people don't understand. You gotta understand, you gotta get inside the mind of the bully. Like, they want to see you react. The second you show them that shit doesn't bother you, it's boring. It's like a little kid. When little kids realize, and I tell my, you know, when my son trolls my daughter, I'm like, stop giving him a reaction. When you cry like that, he does it more because you're crying about it. And we've always been told, like, don't, like, you gotta just let things go and move on. Yeah, those people suck and they're gonna get theirs one day, but you gotta suck that shit up and be like, you know. But
and that's why the wrong response is the ultra liberal BS. That's the exact wrong way to answer to that, because that's what that I feel like is a spawn. You know, that came from that. You know, the hardcore trolling then, you know, created these super sensitive, like, oh my god, you can't say anything for anyone. No feelings.
Right.
And it's just like, that is not the right answer to that. Both of y'all just shut the fuck up. Both of y'all, stop it.
Exactly. It's sad, and it's like it's ruining the streaming world, where eventually streaming is gonna, you know, go down in both ways. You know, like audiences are leaving and going. It's just like, you know, like it's creating a worse place.
It'll go back to like a niche, more of a niche thing. Like,
I feel like it's gonna be up and down, and maybe there'll be another resurgence. But I feel like Twitch is losing its steam. You know, at this point, like I feel like because there's just so much bad press from everywhere. You have the trolls making it bad for streamers, then you have the streamers crying, and then it's just a whole, you know, and then people leaving, you know, like people are leaving. Twitch is not keeping their biggest talent.
I was gonna say, there's no evolution of this. Like, it's like, all right, here's the platform, but now what? And in my mind, I already have ideas. I wish I had like more money and like connections, because I'm like, all right, well, I don't even know if I should say it. People do steal our ideas. I don't know. But basically it would just be something where now, because all these things you think, they're all still on Twitch and they're all very connected. And it's like, why don't you make these things their own platforms where they're still involved? You could still have a center location, but now you click and it truly brings you somewhere unique. It is that place. You know what I mean?
Right.
You go to Dr. Disrespects or Tim the Tam, whoever it is, they now have a unique space where it is wholly theirs, you know what I mean? So it's still connected, whatever, but their lobby can look different, the background, everything about it could look.
That's amazing. You're absolutely right. Yep.
And it's still Twitch, but then you go and whoop, you're back in the central Twitch hub, and then boom, you go to someone else's room, and very different than any.
Kind of like I see what you're saying. Kind of like when you like let's go old school here for a second. MySpace, where yes, you were on MySpace, but if you control the HTML code yourself for your own page, so someone's page could be music with moving images and all kinds of craziness, and then you go to another page, just, you know, the plain basic cutter page and
black and white,
and that's all it was. And then you went to someone else's page and it was just like wildness happening because you were allowed to mess with the HTML code. I think that's an awesome idea.
Imagine that. Then even just because we're in the year 2021 now, 2022 coming up, you can mix that with a dose of like Second Life, where now you can interact, you can
or now it's VR chat is the new thing.
Isn't Pokemon or whatever the one, doesn't she have like a VR avatar or some shit that she uses a lot? Hey, why aren't you implementing that across the platforms now? You fucking, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of things that they're not doing just because, I don't know, apparently it's run by a bunch of bros, but
right. No, it's true. It's like Twitch isn't that unique, and I was thinking that as well. It's like from in the last 3 years, all they've done is tighten their grip on the things that you can and can't do.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, now this hate rate stuff is gonna make shit way worse. And you know, for a lot of people, and that's what I'm saying, making this big deal about it it only means that at some point they're gonna have to lock it down harder, which I think could, really spell out. I mean, maybe this is a slippery slope. Maybe I'm just, I don't know what I'm talking about here, but I just feel like it's gonna make things worse. I feel like when shit like this happens, it just makes things worse before it makes it better. So it's just like, look at YouTube. You can't even stream and you have to wait 24 hours before you can stream for the first time on YouTube. It looks like, who knows if it'll be like a 24-hour wait before you can even chat on Twitch, and that may have to happen where you have to really wait a whole day, and as soon as, I don't know, who knows, but hopefully they'll come out with something soon and this will all be put to rest, because I'm honestly tired of hearing about it. It's just like, I feel for the people that it's affecting, but at the end of the day, it's like, you got to give time and, stop giving these reactions. You can record this and constantly spam. If they would just send direct messages to their support and just fill in their inbox with this shit and just continue to do that, because that's how things got done in the past. Do you know that Ninja Turtles, the original Ninja Turtles movie, had violence in it, and it was so violent, scary for children that mothers wrote letters in. Nobody knew this. Mothers wrote letters in saying how little Timmy was scared because of the way Master Splinter spoke to them and the way the movie was violent, that there was no violence in the second movie at all. They never used their weapons in the second movie. They only used like funny little tactics and throwing them and using it was goofy. It was goofy violence instead of and they didn't use their weapons at all. And I didn't even realize it, to really pay attention.
I got to go back and watch that now. It's very interesting.
If you really pay attention to part 2, they never use their weapons. I didn't even realize that until years later. I'm like, because angry moms at the time wrote letters. So if they spam the shit out of Twitch support and really, said, look, this is a thing that's happening, but said it once or had a mega thread or something, like that to show, go to Twitch's Reddit page if they have one and just have a conversation there. I feel like, this could have been done a lot better if it was done differently, or if they honestly, I feel like if people just didn't cry about it and bring attention to it, this would have went away a long time ago. It would have went away a long time ago.
Yeah, I think people just have to realize, because that is something Twitch does. Twitch does sort of do a good job at making you feel like it's an enclosed community. But I think people just have to remember at the end of the day, like, it's the internet. Literally anybody can come in here. Like, this is not closed in. I know it kind of looks like it's closed and exclusive, and it sort of looks like you have some sort of management over your, your stream and you're in control. It's legitimately a fucking chat room with video capabilities. That's all it is.
And you're gonna get trolls.
You can get whoever it's chat roulette, except minus the roulette. You're in one location and they can find you. It's like, what were you expecting? Anybody can fucking get in there. Like,
I feel like that's what they're gonna say. They're gonna change it to us and say, you have to understand that this is on the internet and that people may try to harm your feelings. We're not responsible for that.
I mean, the people who do have a real exactly. But people who do have a real beef are like, there are streamers who get swatted often.
Right.
People who get their address, they're stealing their address, they're sending the cops there, they're sending the nasty letters, yada yada. So fine, that's legit, and they do need to get that under control, because that should not be happening on any platform. If you put your content out there, you should be able to put it out there, with the fair assumption that's going to be relatively safe. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to have to worry about people swiping my address somehow from an IP that I'm using, even though it's behind a VPN. They still somehow have enough access to your site that they're getting all my shit. Like,
there's I installed an extension, that Commander Root, which I'm assuming works for Twitch, but he created an extension blocker. It blocks Twitch extensions. Because what's happening is that these bots are following your every channel. They're following every channel in existence. As long as you've streamed, it seems, at least once, there's followers. I have to send you a list, because you're probably getting random followers yourself. It usually happens right after you stream. Like, I guess it swipes. So if you haven't streamed in a while, you're probably okay. But there is a list of bots, and
that's my superpower: never streaming.
Right. And it's like what's happening is, they have an extension on their channel, so you go and check it out. Like, oh, who followed me? And you check out their channel. Boom, your IP is swiped right there. Yeah. So there's an extension that blocks Twitch unverified extensions, meaning it didn't go through Twitch's why
is that even allowed in the first place? Shame on you,
I guess
Twitch. Like, what
I
the
guess
fuck?
it's just that easy. Yeah, it must be that easy to install extensions. But I mean,
Yeah.
it happens to the browser. It happens just like, you know, you go to a website
Yeah.
and you see all these fucking ads and cookies that, you know, that's all it is. It's just special cookies that are being
Yeah.
used. It seems like.
Maybe Twitch just has to do a better job of reminding people, like when they stream, like, hey, remember, like clicking out of your Twitch stream is dangerous, no matter who you are. Clicking other people's
Right, they need
profiles
to make where you
pages can
watch
be
a
dangerous. Like, they should have like a warning every time.
yeah, like
Boom,
or an educational fucking video, like, oh, so
Yeah.
you want to be a streamer, huh? You know, like these are the risks
Yeah.
that you have to accept.
Yeah.
Like there will be people who don't like you. There will be people who say hateful things. There will be people who are
Who try
allowed to
steal
chat in your
bank
chat.
info.
Yeah, exactly. Like people are, you know, like if they're making bots that go in normally and using their sign up system, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like I said, I'm sure there could be some more automated things, and I'm sure they can do a better job of like detecting, because that's what it is. It's detection. So again, if you want those things, you know, like, and I think they made a statement saying that they are working on it, but it's like people think that Twitch doesn't care, and it's just like, what are they supposed to remind you that they care every single time you think they want bad press? It's like, come on, let's be realistic here. You know, it's like they don't want the bad press.
No.
So anyway, but yeah, let's move away from this.
They do gotta do. Yeah, they just gotta clean that up. They gotta start protecting their streamers a little bit more.
It's true.
But the real issues, not bullshit fucking chat bubbles. Get over it.
Right, exactly. like there are things that they can work on and stuff like that, but it's just, oh, their PR is not good enough. That's what you're mad. That's what people are mad about, because it's like they're not saying enough and blah, blah. I'm like, it's been 2 weeks. Like you gotta give it time. You can't just develop a thing that's gonna fuck over the platform because you're mad today. It's like you gotta give it time. And that's what people don't realize. Like, I want people to be protected. I don't want them to feel bad when they stream. But it's a mixture of patience and grow some fucking balls at this point. You know what I mean? Like patience, it's coming. I want that to happen for people that's affecting. I admit I've never been hate rated. I'm probably not big enough to be hate rated. And if it happens, I'm not gonna make a statement about it, because you know what? It doesn't affect me. You know, I mean, their actions don't affect me as a person. Like, I don't care about you.
I was gonna say, just throw an emote only chat and just like, all right,
yeah, there's a button.
rock with this for a little while.
If set it up already, you clear chat, set it to subscribers only, and you leave it like that for a couple minutes, and you can take it off. People are like, oh, I'm losing sponsorships. I'm like, no, you're not. And if they're there watching, then you explain to them, hey, look, there's just been hate raid epidemic going on. Like, I'm sorry, can we redo this or whatever? Like, I get that. That sucks. Don't get me wrong. When your bag is affected, that sucks, and I'll never want nobody's bag to get affected. But you're being, I think it's a little
how many sponsored streamers are really getting fucked out of like, like events? Like we were actively having an event with I don't know, Staples or the vitamin shop, and we had an active stream, and all of a sudden I got this hate and we had to cut it short by an hour. Like, yeah, that's happening a lot.
No, and you don't even have to cut it. All you gotta do, again, turn off alerts, clear the chat, like, redo, for a couple of, like, oh, hey guys, don't even give it a response. Say, oh, some technical difficulties, give me a second, clear that up, and then you explain it after. I'm sure no one's really gonna be like, we don't want you to sponsor our stuff because you got hate. Like, no, that's not happening. And if it doesn't, that's a sponsorship that you probably didn't want to work with. They don't give a fuck that's happening.
That has more to do with just the streaming world and sponsors learning, like, oh, advertising on streams is dangerous sometimes.
Exactly.
That's just the reality of it, and that's not going to change. So, but anyways,
yeah. So it is what it is.
What else have you been playing, buddy?
I mean, video game wise this week, what did I start? I started the original Psychonauts because I had never finished it. And I was like, I never played it at all, and it was on my list. It's something I wanted to play, so I started that on PC Game Pass. I played a little bit of Destiny today. Somebody was getting into it, and I was like, you know what? I have the Series X sitting there. I haven't really used it. You get every expansion. So I was like, let me throw it on, and it felt pretty good with a controller. I think it's with the mouse and keyboard. I can't do that game with. It's too floaty. I don't know. It didn't feel good with mouse and keyboard. I think that was my problem the last time I played it, feeling like the lights vibration, and it was okay to aim. Like, you don't have to have precision aiming in that type of game. Yes, it helps you better like on harder stuff because headshots get you better damage, but it's all bullet sponge stuff. So it's like at the end of the day, you don't,
Destiny. I said Halo, but I was like, Destiny.
Right.
It had one of the better like auto, like just it has one of the best feeling shooting in a controller. So it's like
Right.
it's kind of where it's home. I don't know.
Yeah,
It always
that
feels
exactly, because
nice.
I'm telling you, I played it with mouse and keyboard. I was not
Yeah,
feeling it at all. Like I just last I was like, why does this feel like so shit? And I think that's what it
you have
was. I
to
think
adjust that a lot.
yeah, like I feel like it felt so much better to just play it on a controller. It felt good.
Yeah,
The vibration on the controller. I don't know. It just felt really good to play. So I was like, oh,
yeah.
maybe I can play a little bit of this on the, and give and now that it has complete crossplay, it does
Mhm.
now. It really doesn't matter if I play there. That was the thing I was on the fence about. I was like, I'm not gonna buy it for PC, like the expansions, and I'm not gonna buy it.
Oh, I see. Right.
So it's like having it on Game Pass is pretty awesome. So
Yeah.
that was pretty fun. That was
You're
pretty
gonna play
cool.
Infinite, I assume.
Halo Infinite, hell yeah,
Yeah.
hell yeah.
That shit looks awesome.
I probably play it on PC. That on PC, but I want to see an Xbox Series game on the Xbox Series. You know what I mean? Like I just want to
Right,
see how good or bad or worse it looks. But it did run
Yeah.
beautifully. It was playing it in 4K. It was Halo Destiny that is. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, because I saw they had some Halo Infinite gameplay. They've been showing over like the past week and a half or two. It just looks so good. And then also I just randomly I did reinstall Cyberpunk because you brought it up a few times, and so that also is running a lot smoother. Frame rate jumped up a good 5 frames or so for me on average, I'd say.
You hear about Puddlegate?
No, the detail on the puddles is a little less.
Yeah, that they
lowered
brought it. Yeah, the Light City doesn't feel as wet.
Yeah, it doesn't, which I'm not too mad about. They changed a lot though. A lot of the architecture is different. Like your apartment architecture, the layout's different, like immediately noticeable. In a good way though. It looks more organic and like actually developed. Before it seemed very like blocky, like this is this we dumped that right there, we dumped that right there. So they kind of interconnected areas a little better now by opening kind of just things up and side alleys and stuff like that. And finally, I know this is a good patch because the 2 cops that hang out in front of your fucking apartment building, they finally left. They finally have left the fucking building. That's how I know they're making progress.
That you helped with that you helped them with the neighbor or something, or
no. So
outside?
when you go down, the right downstairs when you go down the elevator, and he's like, "Oh, so why didn't you listen to me? I told you it was time to Delta." And she's like, "Well, I thought we could take them." And he's like, "Well, you're not Miltech, and when you're Miltech, then you can fight these guys. Otherwise, you run just like I tell you to." And then they would just stop the convo and they would just stand there. And then you would leave, you'd come back, they'd still be there, and they would just never ever leave. But finally, with this update, I saw them. I let them get through the whole conversation. I hopped in the car, went like around the block, came back, and they finally fucking left.
Oh shit!
I
didn't know about
so
that.
happy. Oh my god!
You know
so
what? That's
happy.
the game I'm gonna finish. I gotta finish that. I still haven't played to the end. So, and the last time I played it, it was felt good.
Yeah,
or whatnot. So,
it's not gonna be GTA, but it's fun.
Yeah,
it's for what it is. It's a good time. And now that it's smoother, I'm replaying it now. I started a new game, so hopefully I'll have a better time with the quests. They'll actually work, and I won't be stuck. So
yeah.
But it's still good to look at.
It sucks, yeah, because that first there was that Puddlegate, and then now they're saying that the next gen versions may not make it to the this year, which I'm like, it's fine. And after everything that happened, it's like people saying, "Oh my god, look at," I'm like, it has to be perfect. It has to be. They know that they cannot release those next gen versions without them being absolutely perfect, and they know this.
Yeah.
So it's like, y'all need to go into next year because you can't make that mistake again. So, and that's what everyone's doing. That's why so many games are being pushed back, because Cyberpunk really set the precedence for releasing a broken game. That can never happen again. Nobody wants to ever be Cyberpunk.
No.
So
that's the thing too. Like, I think now this last patch it made it very clear how far behind they really were. Because now if you go to like the original game and you look, like, you should definitely reinstall it and just go fresh with what you remember from that first install. And it's pretty like, wow, they were pretty far behind, because there's just way more people now, way more varied people, like just so many different types of people now compared to when they first were. The cars are different now. You're getting like trucks, and it just feels more alive in that sense. Again, nowhere near GTA to that degree, but the map is better, the driving feels better, and just it feels varied and different now. So you're like, oh
Oh
shit,
yeah,
okay,
I got it.
yeah,
I haven't been to it in a minute. So yeah, I heard about
yeah,
1.3. So I got to 3.5 or whatever it's called. But I have to definitely
yeah,
check it out.
yeah. It's nice, and they just hired I think 2 or 3 modders. So they went and 2 or 3 people that had been like heavily modding Cyberpunk, they just gave jobs to.
Oh
So
shit! And now with
that's
all remote, it's like it's probably super easy to just be like do it from home.
yeah.
Send us
I
the
don't know,
work.
but that's how desperate they were. They're like, we don't care, we need you. You got
I
good
feel like
ideas. Come on in.
like modding, like it's crazy how modders always fix and change games around. That it's just like, how do you not all just have jobs immediately? It's like, you know, because but a lot of
I
that
think
is
Rockstar did the same thing. I think they hired some.
yeah, I know they took that guy's online fix. Like now the console, I think console and PC versions of GTA Online like load way faster because this modder found the fix for it to speed it up, and they actually implemented it.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy how like
It just blows my
strangers.
mind. Like, what are these guys doing in the office? Like, what do
I
they
think
do? Like, besides getting sexually harassed and like hiding their assholes from their bosses, I
crunching. That's
guess.
what I think.
Like,
I think it's
what
just
is
like
it that I feel like these games are legit made in 6 months, and they just tell you like, yeah, we've been developing it forever, and it's like 6 months. Let's go, and then they just like, I don't know, because then these
yeah.
modders come out, and it's like in 3 months they fucking have almost, it feels like a brand new game. Like it's just like,
It's true.
how
Sometimes in
did
the
they
first
do it?
week, because Valheim had
Yeah,
all these different menu changes in like a week, and I'm just like, holy fuck.
that's what I'm saying. It's like it's usually a 1-man team. It's not like, oh, they had to squad of 10 people. It's like it's one dude like in his mom's basement, fucking
Right?
killing you guys, making you guys look like fucking assholes. Like, how's that possible?
'Cause I don't know. To me, it's the difference between passion and a
Yeah,
job. And it's
yeah,
somebody who went to college because they heard that game development was a good career. And it's just like these are guys
right,
who
yeah,
learned it on their own, who watched videos, read books, went to went to the library and read actual documents and broke apart games, different
yeah,
ways of thinking. And it's just like they're people who probably don't even care to have a job per se doing that, and doing it for fun. So passion, fun, and time versus like you need
yeah,
to build this and you have some idiot director telling you how to do it. You're not doing it out of your own, like, because you think it's the right thing. It's like the
yeah.
director, and you have so many. I think that's what it is. There's so much red tape
It's
to get
true.
something passed. And I think,
Yeah.
not for nothing, that's why Final Fantasy 14 is packed the way
How
it
do we
is.
get back to this? How did we get back to
Sorry,
God
because
damn-
it's relevant. I promise
I'm
you it's
done. I'm
relevant. It's relevant.
Go. What is it? Damn it.
Really quick. No, but for real. I was saying the reason why Final Fantasy 14 is packed with so much content besides the story and everything, it's packed with a lot of side shit because the developers, a lot of the devs make shit on their own time. They like, apparently it's such a great place to work for. Like there was like glasses weren't gonna be a thing, but the devs really wanted it, so they did it on their own without
Like sunglasses?
Yeah, like regular glasses in general. They did that on their own. Umbrellas, I think, were added on their own, and mahjong, like they added that to Gold Saucer without being told to. Like these are just they just were having fun with it, and there's time constraints, I'm sure, and these are things that they were just like, that's what I mean. Like those are people who just love what they do. They're probably working at a place that they like working for, and it's just like, hey, I have access to this home. I could let's just make, the artist just decided to do it, and I'm just like, that's awesome. You know what I mean? They didn't just come work and go home. Like they're adding stuff to the game because I guess it seems they're allowed to do this stuff, and and it's like, as long as it's not a company time, it's like that's awesome that
I just like, that's how I feel like the best games get made though. Like I feel like the best games get made in those time frames where the company they're not brand new, but they're just new enough where they haven't established that hierarchy yet. So they just have a room full of like really talented people, right? Because like they're, let's say, a 30-man team, so everybody is still handpicked. Everybody's still very good at what they do. You know what I mean? Like they haven't had to go to just that resume yet. They haven't had to just. It's all been like, no, I know a guy who's fucking brilliant. Cool, bring him in. Oh, I know this chick. She's fucking awesome. Yeah, bring her in. It's like that. So when you have a company that's still right around that middle size, like it's perfect because everybody can do everything and they're all good at it. So you don't have to micromanage anything. They can all bring their ideas. You know what I mean? Like I feel like that's when Bethesda was doing their best shit, when Valve was doing their best shit. It's all when, it was all in those teams that they were big, but they weren't too big to where it got crazy. Blizzard, same shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then eventually that's why their product gets weaker, because those dudes have to separate. They're so good that now they get their own team, but now it's them and a bunch of lackeys instead of them and a bunch of awesome people together.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm sure that's a lot of what happens. Yeah, and then that, and then burnout, and and all that shit too. Because then it's like, okay, you made that great game, now make this great game, and have another team that make that great game. And this is like, that's what happened with BioWare. Eventually, you got stretched so thin that now your B team is working on one of your classic franchises because your new IP now was so far behind. Then you had the online the Star Wars
which one?
Their MMO, the Star Wars MMO team.
Okay,
yeah. Knights of
the Republic.
Yeah, it's just the Old Republic, right?
The Old Republic, yeah.
So they were trying to tell them like, hey, we have some ideas to make for ongoing content, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're literally, their job is to make an MMO, which means you have to constantly give people a reason to come back. Which is typically a gear, and they try to give their ideas, and they were shut. They were told, the OGs, were like, don't tell us what to do, and it became a power struggle. Pretty much what happened with Anthem is what happened with the OG Final Fantasy 14. It's like you had these OGs that like were too good for new ideas, didn't want to hear from the lower people, didn't want to hear from you guys work on the online shit, get the fuck out of here. This is greatness here, and it's just like,
let's have fire.
And it's like it sucks because it's like they were so what's the word I'm looking for, like they were just like so separated or whatever that pretty much you had different teams from different places all giving ideas. There were too many cooks in the kitchen, and it's just like when that happens, it's like you get Anthem, great flying, great, it was cool, but it's a noodle shooter with no loot. Like, come on.
I know.
I
don't even. That's a whole other topic, because I don't even understand how games like that existed that badly. It's like, these are not new games. These are not new ideas. You're transferring them to a different kind of play style.
Right.
But the recipe is here. Like, how you guys fucked up this stew, I don't know. Because
that's what I'm saying.
I mean, you got the shooting, that's the new part. Everything else is there. Cool gear, cool guns, cool enemies. That's it.
To me, I think it's like what fucks up a lot of these games is the balance of giving you a game to play and then giving you a reason to buy microtransactions. And it's like a lot of times these developers can't fuse the two together. So it's like you end up with an okay game, but they didn't know what to do with it. It's like kind of like what happened with Destiny. That Destiny 1 fun game had a decent story. I really enjoyed the story, but it was chopped up. They took so much out of it that you ended up with a 4-hour $60 game, and with nothing in it. And it was just like, you beat the game, and it's like it felt so good to finish the game, and then it's like you realize there's nothing left. You have a raid that finally got added that took you hours to beat, and just repeated the same fucking missions over and over and over again. And it's just like
strikes, and
it's like, what did you do to this game?
We have a strike playlist.
Exactly. And it's just like, and then you take one away for Xbox, and it's just like, that was one of the most fucked up things. This already has no content. Then you remove some content because of a brand deal that you made. Like, come on, like, why are you doing that? And then so it's like it's like they're trying to find that, they're trying to make it where, how can we squeeze as much money as possible and giving you just enough game to call it a game, you know what I mean? It's just like, and I feel like Anthem was just like the worst part of that. It's like, don't give them too much because we need them to buy stuff from the store, it's like, why are you making, like, you didn't need to do that.
It was like, you didn't give them anything, like, and that's the thing, like, you guys thought giving us basic colors, because they didn't even, like, in Anthem, from I remember, they didn't even like barely give you basic colors. Like, they gave you like some red, blue, and black, and like everything besides that is like, oh, you want stripes? Oh, that's gonna be $5, my guy.
Exactly.
For a stripe? Like, what? Like, they gave you nothing. And there's so much more. Like, again, just play Final for any of these dudes. I wish I had connections I could get into this room. It's not even a career I think I would enjoy, but it's just like, put me in the room and I could tell them, like, just play Final Fantasy 11. You see what they did with gear? You see how crazy they went? You see how easy that is to just make armor sets? Do that. Now you see the weapons? You see how the weapon sets and you have to like fight things to get those weapons? Do that. And that's it.
Exactly.
That's really all you have to do. Make cool shit to get and make them difficult but fun to get the pieces too. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And
Like
then
you want a cool sword, get, the hilt and then the sword part itself and then get it melted together. So that's 3 cool quests you have right there.
And
Make it
then you
happen.
want to sell
That's
you
it.
want to sell microtransactions, make cool shit that people can buy, but make it like outrageous
Yeah.
that doesn't fit the lore. Because to me, that's all
Exactly.
you have to do. It's like that's what changed. Because even Final Fantasy has like weird dopey things you can buy, but you have really great mount. Like you
Yeah.
can buy certain mounts that you have to buy them, but they're usually something outrageous that doesn't really fit the game that much.
Right.
And then you have really cool things. It's like that's the balance that they refuse to. That it's like really hard. It's like we don't want to give you something too cool because you're not going to want to buy anything. But it's like people like to buy shit. That's the thing. People
I was
want
gonna
that
say,
cool
yeah,
skin. Like
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. If you can, I mean, look at Warzone, right? People, I think everybody who plays Warzone bought the Rose skin, and it's literally a black skin. There's nothing cool about it. It's not shiny. It's not bright, but you have to pay for it pretty much. And everybody fucking has it. So it's just like, if you put it there to buy, people will buy it for whatever reason. So in Warzone, it's because it has the advantage because it's so dark and whatever. So people will pay for it. You know what I mean? But in Final Fantasy, it's just like there's just so many different things you could do. In Destiny, there were so many different things they could have done with the armor. They could have just made, you want to pay for it, you can pay for armor that fucking glows a ridiculous pink color for no fucking reason.
right.
And it's made out of clouds for, like just, I don't know.
Exactly.
But
And
they
it's
just, they didn't.
That's how I was saying that today. It's like when I was playing Destiny, I was playing with someone when I was playing Destiny too, and it's like man, there's been all this controversy about what they've done with the gear and how they sunset certain gear after a season and it's just like so it becomes
Right.
useless. And it's just like just look at fucking Final Fantasy again. Look at 14. They did it right. It's like you have gear. Yes, there's so much gear in Final Fantasy. It's like ridiculous amount of gear. But
Right.
glamour, it's become more about how you look versus what stats you have. So stats are always
Right.
going to go up because it has to. But people just want to look dope. You know what I mean? Nobody cares that this special piece of gear makes you strong. They care about, does that match my shoes?
Yeah,
You
does
know
that
what I
shit
mean?
fire
Like,
right now though? Does it fucking match the fit? The
right,
hell?
exactly. Like, yo, I don't even care about like the gear drops. I'll look at it and see if it's something that I could use in an ensemble later, because the glamour system is the biggest part, and that's all that they needed to do, and that's all you need to do in these games. Just have ever increasing stats, fine, because you need to reason to play the game, but make some cool like armor that you can mix and match pieces or whatever. And if somebody wants to have a cool set, then you sell like really exclusive sets, fine, you can sell those, but make it where my helmet can look really cool, but because I'm matching it with a bunch of stuff that I got like in season 2, and it's right now season 15, but it's like you can have a cool piece of gear to season 2 that somebody may not have because they weren't around for season 2. You know what I mean? So it's like just like Fortnite does, like you have skins that are exclusive to an old ass season and you can't get again. So it's like that still gives value to that old skin, so it's like.
And that was the thing in Destiny, you wound up just everybody looked the same because it was like,
Exactly.
this is the best armor and that's it. So it's like, well, this is the best and I'm not going to take it off because that armor sucks.
Exactly.
So everybody just looked
that's
identical.
What I feel like is wrong with Destiny 2. It's like it doesn't feel like the system was that great for having various different types of armors. It's like
Destiny 2 was like a step back. I feel like they took like a lot of good ideas they had and they were just like, no, we don't want that in the second one.
Yeah.
They took them away.
And it seems like they're trying now to go the right direction. They're fixing the story. They're making, so it's like they're taking away the whole sunsetting of guns or whatever. So now if you want to continue using that cool gun you got, whatever, it'll work in the next expansion, stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, fine. They're finally getting there. But it's like, it's true though. It's like, I think we're gonna get another Anthem or Anthem 2 or whatever. Like that'll eventually come, and hopefully we get the game that they really envisioned.
You think so? I don't know.
I think so. I think at some point, maybe not tomorrow, in the next couple of years, but I think we'll get it. Because
like a part 2 or just like a re-release of this?
No, part 2, because they've already confirmed they're done with salvaging part 1. So I think like that was it for that. So I think at this point it's like they can come out with a part, because they already got base game there. So if you just take a lot of those assets, obviously upgrade it for next gen, and then actually build budget it for as a sequel, I think everyone will want it, because now it's and EA honestly is making a little bit of a comeback, so I could see it happening a little bit. Hopefully they don't, because right now, just like Sony, remember when Sony fell from grace with the PS3, then they made their comeback. Xbox fell from grace, but once every big corporation falls a little bit in public perception, they always make those strides to come back. So EA's there. Star Wars Battlefront was their fall from grace, so now it's like, not that they were that great, because people weren't liking them anyway, but they were Battlefront was like one of like the defining moment, where they really shot themselves in the foot. And it's like once they hit that, it's like, okay, now we got single player games coming out left and right, like there's a lot happening, and Activision's at that same spot. They're right now they're at their low point, so now they're gonna be you're gonna see Activision coming out with dope shit in the next couple of years, I guarantee it, or like a complete revamp of WoW. Like they can't let WoW die. And I think now seeing all the people leave to Final Fantasy and see what Final Fantasy 14 has done, I feel like WoW is gonna make its comeback.
I think they need to let WoW die, and they need to come out with a sequel already, like a true sequel. Too. They need to just come out with like a full-fledged, like, listen, I loved it. I didn't love it. I enjoyed my time that I spent with WoW, but at this point, those graphics, like, word. Yeah. Like, I get it. It's a style, but it's an old-ass style now. I don't enjoy playing Borderlands for that long for that reason. It's a style, but it's like, all right.
Yeah, but I can't play Borderlands for some reason. I've tried to. I can't.
I love it. It's fun. The writing is smart. It's funny as fuck. But after, like, I can't marathon Borderlands like that. I just can't. So.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is what it is. So,
exactly.
Hold on.
Yeah, man. So we got the Tokyo Game Show coming up September 30th. And that's going to have Xbox, Squeenix, Ubisoft, Capcom, Konami.
Ooh.
So that's what I've been looking forward to, because I know for whatever reason, TGS has always like had a few bangers. Like some developers hold back things just for the Japanese market. So
I like to see that, because the bigger Japanese game companies have been releasing some bangers, and some Capcom's been doing their thing. So that'll be cool. Yeah,
and Microsoft has an Xbox live stream, so I'm very curious to see what they tell the Japanese market. Because
that's right.
Historically been pretty flat, I think. Not the greatest response from Japan, so I'm very curious to see what they do. Just because it might be funny as all fuck to make fun of them later.
Right.
Capcom, they're gonna have a good one. And then they have some other names I've never heard of, but that's to be expected. Tencent's gonna be there, so yeah.
Ooh, Tencent.
Yeah. For all your Valorant needs.
Yeah, right. Oh man,
that'd be good stuff.
But yeah, I think we covered a lot today. I know I kind of ranted on about everything that's happened at Twitch. It's just been a pain in the butt, and it's just like, it's stuff that's hard for me to. I prefer not to tweet about it. If you're listening to this, definitely give me your thoughts. If you have any thoughts on anything I said today, or if you disagree at all, I really want to hear from you guys. But I think we could end it here. Is there anything else you want to cover or mention before we go?
No, just Xbox, get your updating nonsense in order. It still sucks not being able to, like, having to manually update my games. So if you could work on that, that'd be great. Besides that, no, that's it.
All right.
Game in peace, y'all. Game in peace.
All right. Have a good. Oh, that's it from me. I don't have nothing else to say, and I guess just have a great night. See you on the next one.
Deuces.